You know, Dr. Connors wanted DNA from an animal that regrows limbs, right? Well, if that's the case, why not a starfish? Hey, less dangerous than a lizard, right? Plus, it doesn't cause property damage.
The Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb, get the reference, and stars Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Yes, it is a reboot. People, stop letting this get into your head that because it's a reboot, it's going to be terrible. It's been 10 years, and another creative person has taken the helm to create his vision of Spider-Man. That being said, I loved this movie. It's basically everything I've always wanted from a comic book movie. This Peter Parker is a little more darker than Maguire, but much more funnier than any of the previous movies. Okay, that's going to be the only comparison I make to the original and this one, because I want to base it on a Spider-Man movie, not complain about it being a reboot for 10 minutes. So, in this movie, we learn more about Peter's family and how his father is mainly in the mix of helping Dr. Connors regain his arm. Now, many say the Lizard was not a relatable villain, but I say he was. His desire is to regain his arm and to be normal. There's also the struggles of helping an ill Norman Osborn and the risk of his company shutting down. However, it goes too far, and now he's obsessed with making everyone the same as he is, an advanced species of lizards. Peter actually helps Dr. Connors create the equation for helping to regain limbs through lizard DNA. Anywho, so Peter gets bit by the spider in a pretty climactic scene and creates the web shooters, goes gradually through the stages to create the suit, and becomes Spider-Man. For more on the plot, go watch the movie. Okay, I loved the humor in this movie. The witty lines Peter made during his school adventures, his lines while crime fighting, and while fighting the lizard. This movie also has one of the greatest Stan Lee cameos ever. When he came on screen, everyone in the audience laughed, and many even said, "There he is." That's another thing, the audience reaction. I saw this on the 4th of July, and wow, the theater was packed, and every one of them laughed and joined along with the ride. Next, I'm going to talk about the characters. Now, Captain Stacy was basically the J. Jonah Jameson of this movie. He's basically a character who wants Spider-Man framed. He wants him gone from the city. He thinks the police are doing a much better job at crime fighting than he is. He's basically defining him as a vigilante. He's basically a secondary villain in the movie. Next, Gwen Stacy, who is the love interest in the movie, she did an amazing job, played by Emma Stone. She did an amazing job. I actually bought the romance in this movie. You can tell that there's tensions in there, but at the same time, they want to be together. I thought it was played out amazingly. Next, we have Uncle Ben and Aunt May, and I'd say they did a pretty good job and everything. Uncle Ben basically played the strict, adult-like character for Peter, and basically the father figure and everything. And Aunt May was sweet and everything, but she was also pretty harsh when she needed to be, too. So finally, we talk about the visuals. While not Avengers amazing, it was still very impressive. I was nervous about a CGI lizard, but he looked really good in the movie. Plus, the first person views looked incredible in 3D. The 3D as a whole wasn't the best, but it was still good. It didn't hurt my eyes and it stayed consistent. Overall, The Amazing Spider-Man is a spectacular movie. The villain was good. The visuals were stunning. The dialogue was interesting. You know, Critics bash this movie because it follows too much from the original. But I was too busy caring and following Peter and Gwen's relationship, the conflicts between Captain Stacy and Spidey, the police versus Spider-Man, and Dr. Connor's struggles with regaining his arm. Yeah, I cared more about those instead of being a downer and unneedlessly nitpicking and making comparisons. For now, The Amazing Spider-Man gets a 9 out of 10. It would have been perfect had they fleshed out more about Peter's parents and their involvement with why they truly left. However, that does not stop me from giving the movie a high score. Oh, and stay tuned for after the credits. That's basically a norm for all Marvel movies nowadays. Just a warning. So tune in for my retrospective on the series and a special surprise.